Good afternoon and welcome to Perth Stadium, where the Scorchers will be hosting the Thunder in what could potentially be the clash to confirm who gets the minor premiership. I'm Blair Curtin, and joining me in the commentary box this afternoon is the one, the only Commissioner Jack Carl. Jack, you're in two places at once this afternoon. How do you feel about your team's prospects going into this game?
Look, to be honest, I don't have high hopes for this one just because the Thunder are pure class, but your team, the Sixers, managed to beat them. So yeah, I mean, this for the Scorchers, if we win, it basically cements first place. So it'd be a big game to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Debutant for your side as well, of course, Dominic Young in the number 21 jersey, along with yourself. Um, fresh player. Um, any thoughts on how he might go the Savo?
Oh, look, I reckon he'll go pretty well. He's got a bit of pace on him, and this pitch isn't going to provide a lot, so the kind of pace might help him grab a wicket.
As the short one balloons up, and that goes all
Oh
the way
wow.
for six. Carl Lewis off the mark. Not very classily, you'd have to say, but he got as far off it as he possibly could.
Well, that's what I was just talking about, and that is potentially the downside of pace. Aaron White, too much on it. Carlos barely touched it, and it's gone for six.
Yeah, that one absolutely flew. So, I of course haven't actually had a chance to look at Dom Young's player build. You say he's a quick?
Yeah, he's a paceman, pure bowler
All right.
paceman, and he's got some speed about him. That one, he's got some speed.
Ah, well, look, pacemen, they're always exciting, whether it's the ball going in fast or coming back out even faster. So I'll really be keen to see how he goes. Vuvalianyawa and Mai Mayava, of course, are your spinners. Do you feel it's a bit of a risk going with two right arm wrist spinners against this very left hand heavy Thunder lineup?
I mean, I think it's always a bit of a risk, but we know how good spinners are in this competition. They seem to just get the job done regardless of that. Um, so I think that they're pretty necessary to have, regardless. And Mai has really reeled in her how expensive she's been in the past. So I think she'll do well.
Mai, of course, yeah, a real beneficiary of the player recreation as that comes out on the offside for a single. Aaron White's really kind of pulled this over back a bit, you got to say. A bit of fireworks early on, but he's getting that line of length in now as we see that fielded in the ring at extra cover.
I don't think he bowled even particularly bad on the first two balls. I mean, he got the edges, the top edge and the bottom edge in the first two. Um, Perhaps just a little bit of luck from Carl Lewis.
I mean, if it wasn't for luck, it'd be a pretty boring game, to be fair, as we see that hit out to backward square, or deep square leg, I should say. And that ends the over. Thunder, none for nine. Interesting start, of course, as Vuvalianyawa takes the second over against Carl Lewis, who's looked to put a few balls out of the park so far, but has only done so once successfully. On
Oh,
a length, an absolute beauty. I think that was chopped on, as Lewis finds himself back in the sheds for 8 from 6.
oh wow,
No,
he's just missed it completely.
you're right. So he has. Just down the wrong line. Looks like he expected it to spin a little less than it actually did, because it seemed to beat the outside edge. As yet another dangerous left-hander from the Thunder comes to the crease, Lennox Prakash. Do you guys have a plan for him, Chili?
I mean, I think it's the same plan as everyone else. It's just try to limit the runs, build some pressure, and then get them playing dumb shots like Carl Lewis did. I mean, I was expecting that to be absolutely into the first tier, um, and he just missed it trying to go for it and clipped the top of off.
Yeah, absolutely. Just did not get to the, I guess, spin of the ball as Prakash gets off the mark with a quick double. It's all looking a little bit leg side for the moment from Vuvalianyawa as it comes down to a deepish mid-on. Bit of strike rotation here early as well.
Yeah, well, I got to say about the whole leg side thing, Lenny's probably not putting them away properly, maybe just because he's come in. but these are very hittable balls from Vivilanyoa.
You're right, of course, they absolutely are. And I mean, yes, being new might be part of it, but we have noticed a bit of a trend of Rhodes not playing quite as explosively as they might have in previous seasons.
Yeah, well, I think we discussed it pre-game that the Thunder in previous seasons would have scored 150 on this, and so far they're kind of just struggling and just rotating the strike a bit, not really hitting those big explosive shots. So I'm not sure if it's the bowlers are better or the batsmen are worse, but something has changed this season.
Yeah, you're completely right there, and it seems to be something about the rebuild. Maybe it's something the captains will be needing to take a look at when it comes to recommending their player proficiencies, as that ends the over. 1 wicket for 12 runs and one for just 3 there from Vivilinhoa.
Yeah, very good over from Vivilanyoa. I mean, he's I would think the spinners are where the runs are going to be scored, but he's shown that he can really reel it in, and that's a great economical over.
Absolutely brilliant as that gets put through square leg by Lennox Prakash, and that's the first boundary of his innings. Um, you'd expect Lennox to get on the front foot, metaphorically speaking, and start putting these balls away because he's not a bloke who likes to sit back and die wondering.
Yeah, and especially when Aaron White misses his line like that, it just creeped too far leg side, and it was an easy clip off the pads.
Yeah, and it was interesting, actually, as a bit of a compare and contrast. Vivilinhoa wasn't having those balls put away as aggressively. Maybe it's the extra speed on the ball. Maybe it's just some extra predictability in the ball through the air off the pitch
Oh,
as
what
that
a
goes straight
shot!
down the ground. That is beautiful. No trouble seeing it there by Lennox.
No, not at all. And they always say that it's the on drive um, that dictates how well a batsman's seeing it, and that is just about as good of a shot as I've seen.
Yeah, and it looks like Aaron White might have been a little lucky not to be kneecapped by that ball coming back at him. 1 for 20 now off 2.5 overs. Comes down again, hits the stumps, but White couldn't quite get a finger to it.
I tell you what, that's another good shot, and just a bit of extra bounce, and that would have been another four.
Yeah, we've seen it a few times in games where you just see an absolute beauty that's worked off the pads nicely. That's another four. Oh, hello. Snicko might be onto this. He is, and keeps it down to just 2. We've seen it a few times where batsmen have played beautiful shots and it's just cannoned into the stumps. Last ball of the over now. White drops it short. It's leg side. It's hooked. Can it beat the man out at 4 deep square? Not quite sure what happened in the field there, but it looks like it will be Vivilinhoa who fields that. And I think that's a run 3.
Yeah, and that's not great bowling from Aaron White. His spell 0 for 22. I think they were kind of hoping that he would be the one to kind of start with a bang, and it's actually been Vivilanyoa,
Ooh,
as I say that.
whoa. that that had all of the elegance and class of, well, I probably shouldn't say it on commentary, but Lennox Prakash has been bowled out. Vivilinhoa's second wicket, 16 runs, just 9 balls, 2 for 25 now as Borsons comes to the crease. Another Thunder lefty. What's
Vivilanyoa,
Vivilan?
he's bowling very well, eh?
He's bowling excellently. Although I think some of what you said about dumb shots earlier might have something to do with it. Although Borson stamps his authority on the game, getting off the mark first ball with another boundary. 4 more to the total.
Well, you wouldn't believe that guy was a frontman bowler last season, but now batting at the number 4 position.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knew that he packed the pads to the nets all this time as that one gets worked down too long on? Fielded there and returned for just a single. Vivilinhoa now 2 for 8. I mean, do you feel he has to get Pongston as well? Or do you feel he's done his job here?
Oh, on this, well, No need for a hypothetical.
Speak of the devil. Speak
No.
of the devil. That one has been chopped on. Pongston going for a really ugly cover slog, I guess you'd call it. And 1 for 5. That's a bit of a failure from last year's player of the season.
Yeah, that is the game plan. Just absolutely perfectly executed there. Build up the dot pressure. He's 1 off 4, and then he goes for that big shot, and he completely misses it.
Well, he got it just enough to knock it straight into his own stumps. But of course, that's not much of a better outcome. As Corcoran steps around that one, flicking it away to the leg side to be fielded at deep forward square. However, they do come back for 2. They consider the 3rd but decide against it. And 3 for 32 after 4.
Yeah, the
Well,
Scorchers will be very happy with this. This is absolutely perfect. I thought that, there'd be a chance of conceding a lot of runs here, and they've kept it below 10 and over, and they're taking wickets at a good pace as well.
there seems to be much more of a muchness in the pitches in terms of results this season. You know, I think seasons 1, 2, and 3, if you put up a road, you know that there would be runs scored all round. And if you cooked the pitch, you'd get 10 for 9. But bit of a swing around this season with much more evenness in results between the different pitch types.
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe it's just to do with everyone's a bit better all around, a bit more well equipped bowlers to kind of deal with roads and extract more out of the pitch, and batsmen on absolutely cooked pitches to not get cooked.
That's fair. Though, what do you think batsmen are doing wrong on roads? As Borsons gets bowled. Oh,
Wow.
God, that was a complete mess. And my Arba opened the season with a bowling average of 200. I don't know what it is right this second, but she's made it a hell of a lot less. And Thunder now, 4 for 34, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to answer your question about what batsmen are doing wrong, I think they're just being too confident. I think they're expecting it to happen the way it has in previous seasons and playing shots that really aren't on, just like that, and perhaps catching themselves out.
That's an interesting point. I think that's going to be one of the big challenges for the leadership groups, is getting batsmen into positions where they're getting some consistent scores again. As we see the big cover drive, but along the ground and fielded there at extra cover. Halfway through now, John Boy Mayava enters the attack. Thunder 4 for 35. What do you reckon a pass score is from here, Jack?
From here, I think the Thunder, I mean, they really want to be up around 80, I think. 80 or 90. Pretty much anything lower, I think the Scorchers will be able to chase. But make a real competition of it if you can get over double what they've already got.
Well, you'd definitely be expecting them to look to at least double the 35 as that gets whipped out on the leg side, fielded at deep mid wicket. Looks like it'll be a run 2. We do know that batsmen do like to target the back overs, and probably what Corcoran and Christie need to do here is calm it down a bit, rotate the strike, and just make sure that there's no more wickets at the start of the 8th over.
Yeah, well, next in's Ruben Mobbs, and Ruben Mobbs is not a batsman. So I think these two are the two that need to get the job done.
I mean, you're absolutely right there, of course, Jack. And I suppose that's one of the big challenges for teams in general, is a very short one from Mayava gets just eased over. Vacant slip cordon, and that's a very, very nice 4. And the umpire says that's your last short one, John Boy. Yeah, so one of the things that teams are going to have to manage are these long tails to ensure that they do have quality bowlers who can get through the 10, while at the same time not making 6 out all out.
Yeah, and I think the Thunder have missed the mark here a little bit. Maybe potentially not expecting this many wickets to fall so quickly. But with 4 overs left in the game and you've got your last two batsmen at the crease, it's a bit concerning.
Well, as Christie goes big, it's over mid-off, and that's another 4. He doesn't seem too worried at this stage.
Yeah, well, I guess there's you got to take on the bowlers that are struggling. And John Boy, since the player creation, has he taken a wicket this season?
Not that I recall seeing, which is interesting because I do know how hard John Boy works on and off the field to make sure that he's the best player he can be, as my other takes on the 7th over. So it looks like we'll be ending off with 3 overs apace. And 2 of them will most likely come from Dom Young. I mean, that would mean that Dom Young bowls 8 and 10, while my other bowls the 9th. Some risk-taking captaincy here from Josh Pretlove, you'd have to say.
Yeah, well, it's a tall task for the debutant.
Uh,
Is Josh
yeah, bowling to
Pretlove an
death.
all-rounder?
No, he was. I believe he made himself a pure batsman.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he is a
So,
pure batsman.
picked up by Pat Corcoran, sent straight past backward square. There's another 4 runs. Bit of fluency in the pitch now from these Thunder batsmen, and just a lot less risk taking.
Yeah, and I think that if the Scorchers really want to put a nail in the coffin here, or half put a nail in the coffin, they need to get a wicket this over because I do not see how Dom Young or John Boy are going to extract a wicket out of this pitch.
I've got to admit, neither do I. Line of length a little bit all over the place. Yeah, I feel a little bit bad for John Boy this season because I know how good he is. I know how hard he works. And, there's the wicket. An absolute screamer of forward square leg. And I believe that is the vice-captain, Snicko Balbroa.
Yeah, well, cometh the man, cometh the hour. What a catch. We were just talking about them needing a wicket, and My delivers, and Snicko delivers even better. What a catch. That's one of the
That
best
is
I've
left
seen.
hand, diving full length. Snicko been upgrading his fielding.
Yeah, well, I don't think so, but it doesn't matter. He's good enough as is.
Well, that's true. And that does bring Ruben Mobbs to the crease. So surely the strategy at this point has to be farm the strike, keep Christie on strike, and just see what you can get as that gets fielded by Snicko again. They consider the single but decide against it wisely, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And
good decision.
Mayava, on an absolute road, has finished her spell with 2 for 7.
Yeah, in my opinion, most improved player this season. She's bowling really well. She is one of the key reasons that the Scorchers are currently in first place. And she'll be happy with that because there was some frustration last season.
I mean, I don't blame her for being frustrated last season as Dom Young, debutant, enters the attack for the 8th over. That does suggest that he will be bowling the 10th as well. Goes short early and fended down by Christie.
Yeah, well, I think he'll be happy with any dot he can get. I kind of expect this to go big.
Although, on the subject of most improved players, I really have to nominate one of my own, Mason Remy. He's come out of the recreation really well, and he's got some great results, particularly for a paceman who we have seen struggle a bit. Christie, though, does go straight to fielders on the first 2 balls of this over. And at 5 for 49 with 16 balls remaining.
Well, I've been impressed so far with Dom Young. He's kind of bowling to his field well.
He is. And that makes me wonder that when Christie decides to make it no longer a matter of the field, does it work out for him or not? It's a long way outside off. That does split the gap. And that's a very nice little 4. But it really only gives one more ball for a decent number of runs to be scored on, because Christie's got to be looking for a single on that last ball of the over.
Yeah, definitely. So you think he's going to go for 6 here and then try to get a 1 off the last?
Although, I mean, for a first over in the SBL, none for 4 after 4 is pretty great. Goes short, goes big again. This time over gully for another 4. Brings it up to 557. And there's that one short one over the shoulder. Last ball of the over. Thunder have to be looking for a single. Worked off the pads. It'll be
That's
more
too
than a
fine.
single, it'll be 4.
Oh, he had the right idea there, Alex Christie. He's just hit it a little too fine. And it's raced to the rope. I guess they won't be unhappy with 4, but Mubs needs to try his best to get off strike here.
Alternatively, I mean, if you're in Mobs' position, do you just say, well, I'm not paid to bat anyway, and just go for a few big ones?
I think that you could cause a bit of a... We've seen wickets collapse quickly this season. And John Boy can bowl. We know he has that talent. So I probably wouldn't be tempting that.
Oh, what a catch. Another catch at square leg by Snicko, and John Boy might just have his first wicket of the season.
Hold up. Let me just check something. Maybe Snicko has been upgrading his fielding. He's taken a couple of great catches today.
Yeah. As Ruben Mobs goes for a duck off just 2 balls, that's 6 for 61 as the captain, Liam Ryan, goes to the crease. Left-hand, right-hand combo now. There's Mayava, really got his tail up, steaming in. Full again, not quite that Yorker length, but it does split the field, and I think they will tempt a second. They take
they're gonna run
it.
2.
Well,
Ooh.
I would have called that a fielding error under most circumstances, but you'd almost say that that man at sort of deep backward square has successfully baited the Thunder into taking a second run, keeping the weaker man on strike.
Yeah, well, I don't know about this leadership from Liam Ryan. Surely just you sit on the 1 and don't. Yeah, see, that's why. Don't touch the strike for the rest of the over.
Yeah, that wasn't a great shot. I mean, I think there could have been some argument about a wide being called there. It was a long way down the tram tracks. Fuller again from Mayava, worked off the pads again. This one might actually go for 4. No, it's another 2. Do they have time for a third? They probably do, but they don't go for it. Yeah, this is not great batting from the Thunder.
I don't think they wanted to pull a Maverick Keller out there.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say the words that I said when I first saw that run out on commentary stream either. Very short from John Boy. That's got to be a wide. That's a little bit unnecessary from John Boy. I mean, if he just puts it on a line and length here, he's had a great over. 1 for 5 off this second over. There's on more of a length, and that's a peach. Gets Liam Ryan fishing. 6 for 66, the Devils score for the Thunder. As on a length again, played aggressively by Liam Ryan. They've got to go back for 2 here. They need Christie on strike for the 10th. And they do come back for 2. 6 for 68. Well, I'd say the Scorchers have really done excellently here throughout this entire innings. It's been a road, but it really hasn't played like one for the most part. They've consistently taken wickets well. John Boy's got 1, Mai took 2, and I believe Vivilinyawa got 3 as Christie goes big. There is a man out there, but it is straight over him, and that is about 8 rows deep into the crowd, over cover, and there's the start to the over that the Thunder desperately needed. Moves it up to 6 for 74 now.
Well, I was going to say that they can bowl as well as they want throughout the innings, but this over could be the difference between winning and losing this game, and that's not a good start from Dom Young.
No, it's not, but he's hit back nicely with the dot here. Some real acrobatics there from yourself there, Jack. There's Dom Young now, none for 18 off 8 balls. Christie on strike, 29 from 15, knocks it straight down the ground. It does beat the field. It's going to beat them all the way and rolling across the carpet for 4.
Well, I said
Um,
earlier that pass score would be like 80 or 90, and I think that the Thunder, I reckon Christie's in here. They might get to that. They might get to 90.
yeah, 90's on the card. So what are they? 78 with 3 to come. So 88 and 8. 96 is the maximum possible score. Goes big. There's a man out there. It's straight over him. There's 6. 6 for 84. 2 balls to come. 96 still on the cards. And a very, very good, very experienced, for the most part, Thunder bowling lineup to defend it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I think Mobsy might be hitting himself about the fact they didn't get Christie on strike last over, because this score could be up around triple digits.
It could, but Dom Young hits back very well. It's just the single. And, I mean, with Liam Ryan on strike, you've got to assume it's going to be a sub-90 score.
Well, Liam, go for it. Free hit, mate. Put it into the stands.
Oh, beating him. 6 for 85. Well, I'm not sure that's par. I think par might have been 90, 95 going into this game. And the Thunder just consistently lost wickets. Those two spinners in particular, Momayava and Tavita Vivianyawa, absolute pick of the bowlers. 2 for 7 from Maimai, 3 for 10 from Tavita. Dom Young, not much to write home about in his debut, but John Boy got in the wickets as well, 1 for 17 off his 2.
Well, what I have to
Jack,
say about that is if you look at, you know, the bowlers that played well, the Thunder have a lot of good spinners, and the Scorchers don't have that deep of a batting lineup, so they might struggle here.
that is very true. 6 out really is kind of all out, like it is for the Thunder, as that gets punched down the ground by Ian Mayava. Another one of the Mayava clan. Opening's an interesting choice here, though.
Yeah, well, I think he's been opening pretty much every game he's played so far this season. I think he's played the 2, and he's opened in both of them. So I can't remember how he's gone. I think he's done relatively well.
Okay. Tim James partnering him in the opener position. That's very leg side from Luke Driscoll. A bit of a nothing length, and that will be worked away for at least 2. No, just 2 it seems. And a bit more calmness, I suppose, in the start here from the Scorchers.
Yeah, and Tim has kind of been their man this season. You know, Joey Kelly and Jai McCartney leaving big losses. But Tim James has really stepped up. He's been at the Scorchers since season 1, and he's never quite taken his game to the next level. I think he's done that this season.
As that gets worked away down the leg side past mid-on, be another 2. Scorchers staying in touch with their on rate pretty nicely, you'd have to feel, especially if they can take this deep, perhaps target punch and monkey a bit in those later overs. But one big advantage that the Thunder will have is, of course, that they don't have a debutant who can be targeted.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the same kind of with their batting, is that the Scorchers have a couple of weak links in their batting lineup where the least experienced batsman in the Thunder was the man that got them the big score, and that's Alex Christie.
I mean, that's a good point, of course, as we see another 4. I mean, if Tim James goes big enough here, maybe it won't matter that there are a couple of weak links. Maybe he can work this Thunder bowling attack around the ground with a few boundaries in there to make it happen. A very short one from Luke Driscoll that will be fielded at deep point, and that'll end the over. None for 10. Scorchers on track with the run rate early on.
Yeah, and Tim James already playing the strike. 5 balls faced, and then he gets the single at the end.
Very, very cheeky Tim James as Ruben Mobbs comes in. He's one of the top wicket takers in SBL history. Gets worked away to a sort of backwards gully position. No run. Now, Mobsy, of course, can take a lot of wickets, as
Oh,
I think that might have been pitched outside leg.
did that not just hit him on the full?
No, I'm pretty sure it was turning back. I don't think that they should review this. I'm sure it was outside leg.
Gee, that's close.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But it's definitely off
I
that
think that
bounce.
is. I think that is outside leg. It might even be missing. Let's have a quick look.
I think it's turning back enough, but the original pitch is outside leg.
Ooh,
Hello.
this is out.
So
Oh
it is.
no!
Liam Ryan has missed a trick. Liam Ryan has missed a massive trick. That should have been challenged. Well, I'll put my hand up and say I was wrong. I thought that was a mile outside leg for mine.
Wow, and it's Tim James as well. Their front man batsman. Their big dog. And they've missed a challenge. Wow.
Mobs will be blowing up in the sheds after this one, as thick outside edge doesn't carry to Borson's. Man with very distinctive facial hair. Worked away to the leg side by Tim James, steps around the line of the ball. Won't quite make it to the boundary, but looks like it'll be 3 run. So Mobs, after defending 3 dot balls, a wicket shout that they really should have reviewed. Won't be bowling a maiden, as Ian Mayava. Maybe that's a bit of frustration from Ruben.
Yeah, you can see he's just a bit angry. I think maybe he copped the replay up on the big screen, and he's given a quiet word to Liam.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see whether they review the next one. As Mayava, another swing, but fielded at mid-off. None for 13 now after 2 overs. An excellent over from Ruben Mobs. Just needed a wicket to cap it off. They could have had one, but they didn't review.
Yeah, that's Ruben Mobbs is a very good bowler, and that he definitely deserves a wicket there.
Oh, couldn't agree with you more. As Luke Driscoll, on a fullish length, gets beaten between point and cover. Another 4.
Well, Thunder fans, close your eyes. Every time Tim James scores runs, it's going to be painful.
Yeah, he could be back in the sheds for 9. They could have Snicko out there, though that's not necessarily an improvement from the Thunder's perspective. But Tim James now looking to step up the gears, picks up a bit of confidence. A short one, it's heaved away through mid-wicket. There's another 4.
Well, and you can tell he's really set. He's seeing the ball well now.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, mate. And I mean, Tim James, as you say, he's struggled a bit in the early seasons, but this one he has put together a couple of big scores. Burnt us with one, if memory serves. And this run race getting up to around 10 and over now, and that's bowled. Don't need to appeal very much when all 3 stumps have gone cartwheeling. Tim James, perhaps a touch of hubris there as he goes to 20 from 12. First man down, 1 for 21, and Snicko Balbroa, the vice captain, comes to the crease.
Well, I've just seen Ruben Mobbs go over to Luke Driscoll and give him a big hug. It's only cost them 11 runs in the end, and they bring the new man out to the crease.
Another short one from Luke Driscoll. Snicko looks like he wants to take it on. One thing that I am noticing early is that the Scorchers haven't rotated the strike much. Mayava's only faced 3 balls of the 16, 17 bowled now. And that's rarely a positive sign.
Yeah,
I've noticed in these ends.
especially when it's such a low score. Rotating the strike's the best way to keep on target.
Yeah, because if you tee off, of course, you always end up risking, as we see a single on the last ball of the over. Snicko will take the strike at the 4th. Scorchers 1 for 22. I mean, there's no need to really try and tee off. 3 singles and 3 doubles and over, and you're up at that required run rate as Monkey enters the attack. He's another big beneficiary, I'd say, of the recreation system as he gets to make a dedicated bowler as that goes through mid-wicket, fielded in the deep, just 2 scored.
I will say about that, though, that Monkey seemingly hasn't been playing as well since the recreation for whatever reason, and potentially that's just the kind of pitches that they've been creating, but I think he's played better last season.
That's interesting because I could have sworn he had a brilliant game against us last season. That's the one that really sticks out in my mind as we see another run too. Perhaps he'd gone hard on the proficiency upgrades, and that's why it's fallen off a bit. Of course, with those changes to the upgrades, Monkey goes short. Balbroa sends it down through mid-wicket. I think this is going to go all the way. That'll be a boundary. Just beautifully timed there by Snicko. Bit of a slog, but not an overly aggressive one. And as much as I've praised Monkey, he's staring at an economy rate of 16. Goes short again.
Ooh,
It
help.
balloons. That's going to go all the way too.
That went huge. That almost went over the advertising.
Yeah, that was massive. Snicko's got some real intent here to pick up where Tim James has left off. And this run rate is getting a little bit out of hand for the Thunder now. It's north of 9. Snicko's 15 from 7. And Maava's practically having a holiday at the non-strikers end. Goes short again. Hits Maava. He could have done a little more to get out of the way of that. I guess the holiday continues.
Yeah, I don't think he's clued in properly. Do we see a single here to rob him of the strike even more?
Well, if he's going to have that level of awareness, maybe he deserves it. No, it'll be a dot ball to finish off, and Monkey's pegged this back pretty well, all things considered. 14 from the over. Scorchers 1 for 36 off 4, and the captain, Liam Ryan, enters the attack. Bowling offies to the 2 right-handers effectively. Not sure how I feel about this field.
Oh. Forget it.
You don't need a field when you hit the stumps.
Yeah, what an innings from Ian Maava, by the way. 1 off 4. But he's made it to, what, 4.1 overs?
Yeah, he has. It's a very Pongston-esque innings, this game. And brings bunts to the crease. And I think that's really the danger of not rotating the strike. Maava had practically switched off, and then he copped one that really turned from Liam Ryan and just couldn't get to it. But that one will go to the boundary. Snicko and bunts. Dangerous combo wherever they play.
I think Liam's lucky not to have conceded a 6 there, just a full toss, and he's tried to drive it and caught the edge instead.
Oh, no doubt he was a little bit lucky there, but I guess if you're going to take a risk with the ball like that, you might as well do it on ball 1 of a batsman's innings, as we see the reverse sweep, and that's gone. What a catch. What a catch. I believe that might have been Leonard Prakash.
Well, Snicko, get out of the way, mate. That's a much better catch. What a screamer.
Another dive to the left and another one-handed catch. Some real acrobatics in the field today. Oh, no, it's Pongston.
Yeah, well,
I saw the 9 and the second number.
He didn't stand up with the bat, so he's got to make it up in the field. And Liam Ryan, 2 for 4 now with his first 3 balls.
It's a road, but it's also a real spinner's pitch, you'd have to say, as Jack Carl belts it straight to square leg.
Well, I think every pitch is a spinner's pitch in this competition, Blair.
I mean, that is true. And pace off the ball, it always has a chance of Jack Carl rides his luck. Fielded at short fine leg, just the 1 run. I mean, at this point, run rate is not a concern.
Yeah, no, they just need to make sure they don't concede wickets. I think Snicko wants to be there to the end. We saw him get not out at 48 earlier this season. I think he'll still want that 50. And I think he can do it in this game.
I mean, he will, but there's only 45 runs left on the table, really. And he's only got 15, so he needs to score about 3/4 of them. Daniel Punch enters the attack, the rookie, off spinner. And Carl just bunts that down to extra cover.
I will say, though, I think he can do it, especially since, Pretlov's the only batsman to come in after this. You'd think it'd be a similar situation with Christie, where Christie scored 40, and they only got to, what was the final score, 85?
Well, that's true, of course. Christie, of course, coming in a little bit lower down the order at 6, and Jack Carl fishes for the wide one. I'm not sure that was entirely necessary. I think that might have been called a wide, but Daniel Punch starts with 3 dot balls. Make that 4. Well, they're not wickets, but these dot balls are absolutely vital if the Thunder are going to defend what is, all things considered, a pretty low score, and that's out! Jack Cole, 1 from 7. 4 a row. This is really producing some low-scoring, slowly scored innings.
It's producing some killer catches as well. That's Pongston again.
That's another one from Pongston. It's Pongston again. Pongston watched Snicko in the field and said, anything you can do, I can do better, mate.
The old vice captain showing the new vice captain how to do it.
Well, true. As Pretlove does come to the crease, and Daniel Punch is a real chance of bowling a wicket maiden here.
And he does. They're very rare in the SBL.
I don't think I've seen a wicket maiden before. I know I've seen a maiden, but I'm sure I haven't seen a wicket maiden.
We have seen a wicket maiden.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'll say about that.
Right. Yeah, okay. Point taken. As Snicko sends that through mid-wicket and a very aggressive 4, he watched the absolute carnage at the other end, and he will be feeling the need to put Scorchers' authority back on this game. 19 from 11, goes for the reverse sweep, but I don't think that ended up where he wanted it to, beyond the fact that it happened to hit the boundary.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did pick the gap perfectly. That went straight through the 2 fielders there. So perhaps you're giving him not enough credit.
Maybe I'm wrong. I just felt that he might have been trying to sort of go over point there. Very wide one from Liam Ryan, and that just gets worked away down towards third man and fielded a short third man. My fellow commentator doing his best to give me sleep paralysis tonight. Snicko gets off strike, hands it off to his captain, Josh Pretlove. The weakest pure batsman in the Scorchers lineup. Inside edge, fielded at short, fine leg. 2 for 14 now, off 10 balls for Liam Ryan. Drops it a bit short, and that is worked beautifully between gully and point, and that will be another 4. Equation now, 32 runs, 19 balls.
Well, Liam, he had a great first over, but this one has been a bit streaky and gone for quite a few runs here. So he'll want to pull it back on the last ball.
He will. And really the only way he can pull it back at this point is a wicket. They need to start ripping into this tail. At 4:54, Pretlove goes for the reverse sweep. I thought that was what Snicko wanted to do earlier this over. 1 bounce, 4 runs, 28 runs, 18 balls. So that works out to what? 9.33, an over off the last 3. This is very doable for the Scorchers, especially with Snicko going on to strike.
Yeah, and Snicko's well and truly set. And, I mean, Pretlove playing shots like that, I mean, he could finish it himself.
Well, that's true. As long as those shots keep ending up at the boundary rather than a deep fielder.
Oh, gone. Oh, what?
That's got to be. That was gone. No
He has
appeal.
definitely played it. He's definitely hit that.
Can we see that on hotspot?
We can't see it on a hotspot. We don't have a hotspot, but we can look at this closer.
Match review. It'll be thermal vision.
Is it? Do we have one?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, it's
Oh,
locked.
it's locked out now because he's. But yeah, no, that was definitely
Yeah,
edged.
we'll have a quick look at this. One sec. Where are we? Yeah.
7-1.
Is it bump balled? Yeah, it's a bump ball.
Okay, so that's why there's no. All right. Well, punch goes short, gets the treatment, and that's through fine leg for 4. Well, I could have sworn that it carried, but I guess that camera angle doesn't show it very well. But that does show Snicko Valbroa absolutely belting that ball. I quite like this field. There's a man on each sweep, and a man
That's
on
gone.
that one's got to be gone. Daniel Punch, 2-wicket man himself now. Snicko considers the review, but it can't possibly. And a beautiful catch from Paddy Corcoran. Just kind of ballooned and then went for the stumping. 28 from 16 for Snicko. Very useful runs, but you have to feel that in the context of the game, he needed to go bigger there.
Yeah, I think he was just. I mean, that was a nothing shot. He could have just sat back and punched it around a little bit. The run rate isn't particularly high. You don't need to be playing shots like that. And from a leadership position, I don't like that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, Jack. Particularly from the perspective that it is a bowler in next, Darren White. And it just makes Brett Love's job all that much harder, as that does beat the ring field, and it will get Brett Love on to strike for the last ball of the over. I mean, the Thunder have pegged this back really well.
Daniel Punch has pegged this back really well. He has been bowling sensationally this season, and nothing different here.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Rookie bowlers are generally done pretty well this season, and that sees off the spell, 2 for 5 off the 2 overs, and 23 off 2 becomes the equation.
Yeah, well, I definitely still think it's doable, but maybe not so much with this man coming in. This could be do or die for the Scorchers with Ruben Mobbs bowling.
One of 3 SBL bowlers to have taken a fifer. One of 2 to have taken a hat-trick.
The only bowler last season to bowl a maiden.
Okay, that's an interesting one. And he's bowling at a bowler. Although White has worked that really well to get Brett Love on strike. From a strategy perspective here, do you go big and just even it out across the 2 overs at the risk of your wicket? Or do you knock it around and just give yourself a lot to do in the last?
Oh, well, Pretlove's going to do the first of the options, but I think that you just got to survive Mobsy here.
Well, just doubled Mob's runs conceded there with that. Yeah, it's a reverse sweep. I was about to say a reverse sweep slog, but no, that's a sweep for 4. Not sure I love this field. As that gets fielded at gully, no run. 18 from 8. Not impossible, but you really want to start getting those numbers down as Brett Love tries to go big. Wanders out of his crease, but decides against going for the run. Fielded a cover. I mean, surely you have to go for the single here.
Yeah,
yourself on
it's a
strike.
must, especially since they haven't scored many runs in this over.
Works it off his pads. That'll be 4.
Oh, I don't think the Thunder will be that unhappy with that one.
No. It White really just needs to bunt and go. First ball next over.
Do you
I mean,
know?
beautiful
Do you
shot.
remember who this is going to be? Is this going to be Monkey to bowl last?
I believe so. Punch's bowled 2, Driscoll's bowled 2 early on, Ryan's bowled 2, Mobs has bowled 2. It'll be Monkey.
Yeah. Well, if White can get off strike quickly, this could go. I think that I mean, he conceded 14 off his first, which is exactly what they need now.
Well, true. But Monkey can hit back and hits Aaron White.
Oh, hello?
What?
I think the umpire called dead ball there.
I mean, the ball hadn't stopped moving. I don't know why it was dead. Edged, and there's the single. 13 off 4. Pretlove just needs to go big here.
Yeah, well, Cowboys leadership right here. Cowboys captain and vice captain. Let's see if he can get one up over the skipper.
Monkey drops short, and it's a miss, but I think that might be called wide. It is. Monkey did not need that, and he doesn't have the short stuff in his arsenal for the remaining 4 balls of this innings. 12 to get, 4 to come. What will Monkey do? Puts it on a length, but almost bounce alike, and that's edged away between gully and point. That's 4. 8 from 3, the equation. Can the Scorchers snatch victory from the jaws of defeat after bowling out the Thunder for what seemed to be a subpar score, but now is actually looking surprisingly defendable, at least in patches. 5 for 78, 3 to come.
Gone.
It's edge. That's out. Well, I think Patrick Corcoran has just caught the game for the Sydney Thunder.
Well, I guess that's why he's the master. Justin Monkey, he dangles the carrot. Pratlove tries to drive it, and Corcoran with an absolutely beautiful dive to his right and may have just won the game. Can't quite remember who's coming in next, but they have a tall task.
It will be Vuvali and Yawa.
Yawa, averaging 2.33.
Yeah, look, 8 from 2. I mean, the hour can be a funny thing, but 8 from 2. 2 bowlers at the crease. You got to feel it's advantage Thunder.
They got to run 2 here. Oh, they don't.
Won't. Well, good game, Thunder. Barring a no ball from Justin Monkey here, we will see a Thunder win.
Can we see a 6 in a super over?
Yes, we could actually. But
I don't even know why I raised that question.
6 for 79. End of the 10th over. Monkey has defended 14 runs beautifully with the vital wicket of Josh Pretlove. Thunder winning by 6 runs, and that will likely lead them to the top of the table.
Yeah, and we spoke about this pre-game being the game of the season, and boy, it is definitely lived up to its hype. I think that this is probably the favourite to be the grand final at the moment. Once again, seeing the Thunder there, no shocker, but the Scorchers, they're surprisingly good team this season.
Look, they've had a real refresh in the leadership group. Snicko and Bunce have scored a few runs this season, though Bunce didn't do too well today. But geez, Daniel Punch, he would have been a real contender for man of the match for mine. 2 for 5 off 2. And Christie, of course, man of the match overall, 40 not out. Probably hard to dispute, especially at a run rate of over 200.
Yeah, well, I think Daniel Punch kind of just killed the Scorchers' chase here.
Well, a wicket maiden.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you argue with that? Now realising that I might be arguing with that on Thursday myself. But that's all we have time for this afternoon. Thanks very much for joining us as we see a 6-run win for the Thunder over in Perth. Thanks for joining us.